I love when you say it's not about finding your soulmate. It's about, like a predestined needle in the haystack. It's about creating, right, your
It
soulmate.
is.
Tell us the difference in that.
Did you push record?
Thanks so much for tuning into our second act with Paige and Silka. Today I'm so happy to welcome Frank Wiegers back to the program. Frank, thanks for joining me again.
Oh, Silka, it's always so much fun to talk with you. Thanks for having me back.
Well, I'm really excited to have you back because you're about to launch a new program that will really help certainly people of our vintage. You call it Seriously Seeking Soulmate Program.
Right. Yeah. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, well, I am too because, I don't think we can ever talk enough about finding love again, and especially at this point in our life, over 50. What I, love about the program, we'll get into more details here on this segment, but one, you bring this formulaic approach to it that a lot of us, who are intimidated to go out there and find a soulmate, it gives you some confidence. You're going to talk more about that. The other thing I like is that you bring so much experience to this.
Well, I have had that experience. This is my fourth marriage, and I had to go through three of them before I finally figured out I didn't know anything about love, sex, and relationship, and I had to study. Well, I've got a bunch of degrees, and I know how to study and research. So I did that, and I studied with teachers from all over the world. I read everything I could get on love, sex, and relationship. And then I started putting that into practice. And it was 14 years ago. I met my wife, Judith, and we've been going strong ever since. And it gets better all the time. I mean, I cannot tell you the thrill and the joy that we have. And I'm an octogenarian now, so anyhow, it can work for anybody.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the formula for success that has worked so well for you. You've learned from experience. There is no better way. You're saying that here. I'm looking at my notes here. It's clarity of thought, conviction and confidence, and focused action. Tell us what you mean by that. Let's go with step number one.
Okay, well, that always leads, if you use this formula, you will get a successful result. So it starts with clarity of thought. And you really have to know what you're doing. Now, especially when it comes to talking about a mate. Everybody knows that they have a list. Well, I want this and this and this and this. And that's really good. And there are some things that you'd like to have that could be negotiable, but there are other things that it's ironclad, cast in stone. If that's not there in the relationship, it's not going to work. And then you have to have a vision for how you want to live your life and how you want to live that relationship with a partner. So you have to have really, everybody talks about the law of attraction. Well, there's some power in that. And the power is having the clarity of thought. So if you're really clear about who you are and what you want, then that will help manifest exactly that.
It makes so much sense when you say that, and it's like something that we all should know. But really, when you think about it, we don't do it. I mean, I know when I was first out there, I don't think I had that clarity. I think it came through trial and error. So I like that, that you're drawing attention to that.
Yeah, that's really a good point too, because in the passion of the moment, and that's where most of us get in trouble, is that we find somebody and either we're so glad that we finally got somebody that we can have some kind of, that we'll take anything that comes along. On the other hand, we find somebody and we're totally smitten, and it's so powerful. The passion is so intense that we neglect all those red flags and don't take the time to test and find out if our requirements are really going to be met.
Yeah, and again, at this point in our lives, we don't have that much time left to waste on something that is
Well,
just not going to work again.
that's exactly right. And now, with all that experience behind us, we can say, I'm not putting up with any BS anymore. I need this and I want that. So,
Yeah, good for you, good for you.
well,
Well,
I could just segue into the next step,
yeah, please.
is you have to know what your beliefs and what your values are. And I'd say about beliefs, because we all bring cultural beliefs. I don't want anybody that's this or this religion or that this or does that. And I love that quote from Mahatma Gandhi. It says your beliefs become your thoughts, and your thoughts become your words, and your words become your actions, and your actions become your habits. And then your habits become your values, but your values become your destiny. And boy, that's where we all get in trouble. If we don't know what our beliefs and our values are, and then we don't know what the beliefs and the values of our potential soulmate is, then it isn't going to work out. And knowing who you are and what your beliefs are and what your values are, and then what brings you joy. You have to stop and think about, what is it that I do that I really love to do? And what's important about that is, because when you go forward into a relationship, a lot of the times we'll do what our partners bring us joy, but we neglect what brings us joy. And then pretty soon there's resentment and withholds, and boy, it's a trouble. So then we also take a look at, what are we good at? So if you know your beliefs and your values and what brings you joy and what you're good at, that's part two of the formula. That gives you the conviction and the confidence, because confidence is the biggest attractor. When you know who you are and what you bring to the party, people recognize that. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's nice if you're great looking, but it really is not the key value. The key value is that you're confident, you know who you are, you've done the work to discover yourself, and you take that out there in everything that you do, not just in the dating.
Another really great point. Again, one that should be so obvious and absolutely is not in practice. I know that I'm guilty of that. When I first meet people, you get excited for what they, in being a producer too, I'm always interested in what other people do. And pretty soon I'm living that life versus, and losing myself, and not even realizing that further down the road that could, not be so good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And what's step 3?
Okay, step 3 is taking action. And it's really nice to know all this stuff, but you got to get your behind out there and meet people and take action. And so, you need a plan. You need I think in terms of steps in the formula. And if you have a plan and you work the plan, you're going to succeed. So you need to know where to go to look, what to look for, how to look for, and you need to make a plan. That you go online, you do online dating, do you go to meetups, do you go to sporting events, whatever it is, but have a plan and say, okay, I gotta put aside some time to implement this plan. It's not going to happen unless I schedule it. So you got to have, like, one night a week you go out, and one night on the weekend you go out, and you put yourself in places where you can meet people.
Again, that makes so much sense, because one of the things, a lot of things I hear in comments when we covered these relationship topics, so oh, I'm just done with this. There's no good men out there. There's no good women out there. And I don't have time for this. Well, what do you have time for?
Right. And if, I got a whole thing about setting a priority on finding your soulmate. But if you don't get out there and mix it up, it isn't going to happen. You really have to make this as important as almost any other thing in your life. If you really want that. I mean, how important is your job? I mean, yeah, we have to make a living. And how important is your family? Of course, we love our families and we want to take care of them. But what about that time for you where you really want that partner, that lover, that companion that gets you, that you can share with and be with? I mean, come on, that's what it's really all about. And after that, all this other stuff kind of just falls into place, and you're happier.
Yeah. Well, and I also want to clarify and get your input on one other thing. Comments that we've also gotten in the past, both from programming with you and Paige. We talk about soulmates a lot. And I love when you say it's not about finding your soulmate. It's about, like a predestined needle in the haystack. It's about creating, right, your soulmate. Tell us the difference in that.
Okay, well, a lot of times when we, quote, find our soulmate, that's the time when we're smitten and we can't see anything but the passion that's there, and we neglect to do that testing that's so important to find out if there's red flags. We tend to ignore the red flags, and then 3 months, 6 months, years later, we're going, this isn't working. So finding your soulmate is really a matter of creating your soulmate. You find the person that meets your requirements, needs, wants, vision, shares that with you, and then you create that every day. And Judith and I do that with rituals. Every day we spend time worshiping each other and connecting each other and sharing with each other and communicating with each other and loving each other and sharing our passion. So it's an ongoing process. It's not something that just happens, it's wash, rinse, and repeat. You got to do that every day.
Yeah. Well, I love your approach, and I want to recommend, to anyone who is seriously seeking their soulmate, or, wanting to create that soulmate, for a better terminology. Frank, we're going to link to all of your information, of course, as we always do. It is seriouslyseekingsoulmate.com, is it? I'll have that in the video description. Is there anything else that you want to leave our audience with on this segment?
Well, yes, I do. And I love the fact that people in their second act are reaching out to find love, because there's no age limit on it. I was 69 when I met Judith. She was 60. That was over 14 years ago. So, you can do it at any time. And the idea is to let yourself be open. Take the time to look at yourself. It's not simple. This is not a pill you take and bam, you got your soulmate. No. I love it. What was that? I think it was John Masters that said, your dream won't work unless you do. So you got to get out there and work. If you really want your dream, then do what it takes. Learn what you need to learn, do what it takes, and get on out there.
Yeah, because it's never too late. That's our motto here. Frank, thank you so much, and we will see you on our next segment of Our Second Act with Paige and Silka. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already done so, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. Buttons right over here. And for more information on finding love again after 50, please visit our website, secondact.tv. See you soon. Bye-bye.